What's going on, guys? Marcin here. It's Thursday. We are here to talk about this. Well, not really. Not about Canon cameras. We're here to talk about photography and how to make money with photography. I always say there's this sort of hidden layer, hidden level, behind the scenes stuff going on with photography businesses, where a lot of photographers hop in and it's like camera editing client. That's where they think most of the action happens, but it's not true. And this is what I'm here to talk about. If you are watching this for the first time, Marcin. I have been doing photography for the last 18 years successfully, and I'm here to kind of break it apart. I always take one sort of part of the puzzle piece, and I present it here. This way, you save time. Otherwise, it's not. It's information. Information is out there. You can eventually you'll get there, but here I try to slice it, dice it, present it in a digestible format. So this way, you move faster. That's really the point. Um, One thing that I'm super, super, super excited about, which I wanted to share with you guys, is let's see, can I flash it on the screen? I always do it this way with like a link. Let's see, can I do it with the link? I can do it with the link. proimageacademy.com/school. Just assembling the community. I want to show you something before we get into like slides. Here we're gonna actually look at what's going on here. Why am I not seeing my stuff? Let's see. Google Chrome. What should we seeing? We should be seeing this, which is basically the school community. I'm giving you a preview of kind of what I'm setting up. And it's basically for different levels of photographers, depending on where you are. Like if you're entry level, you're just getting your camera, getting your lenses, kind of getting your mind wrapped around photography. I would definitely say level number one, which is basically the launchpad, the gear, the mindset vault, and the client connection hub. So it's pretty cool because it gives you everything that you need to make your first like $1,000, $2,000 or whatever. And then if it's like the game that you like, if you have worked with a client, now it's like you've charged, you've delivered. It's like, okay, this is pretty cool. I want to blow it up. We move to the next level, which is basically we talk about three things. We talk about brand, we talk about funnels, automation, and we talk about business. And like when somebody's starting out is thinking about it, it's like, oh my god, too much, too overwhelmed with information. Totally get it. Like first you should go out there and just make money with your camera. Later on you should be like, if you're serious about it, if you're okay making a couple $100 like a week, totally okay. You probably don't have to move forward. If you're planning on charging $2, $3, $4, $5,000 a month, you're going to need additional components other than just your camera and a client, right? Just because like small sessions at $75 a pop are not going to get you to any serious goal. So if you're trying to make $25,000, 30, 40, 50, like we got to talk a different game. And that's exactly what the community will do for you. And then later on, even if you have those like bolt-ons and things that you need, we are talking about automating this, because if it's just you and you're running everything, if you have like 10, 20 clients, things get a little messy. So that's exactly what the different components are here for. There's an option where you can work with me, or I will talk about it more inside the community. I don't want to waste time here. Super, super valuable. There's like an AI component. There's the Pro Image Academy for somebody that like is serious and want to make like 40, 50, 60, past, because with the photography business, sky is the limit. Really, like when you're upgrading your levels, even choose a genre of photography. You can do a wedding at 2,000, you can do a wedding at 5,000, you can do a wedding at 10,000, and you can do a wedding at 60,000. I'm talking single wedding, right? So it's a different game. I was never at that level where I was shooting $60,000 per wedding. So if that's what you're looking for, not a place for you. But if you're looking for like somewhere between like 6 to 12,000, that's ultimately where I'm trying to like get the folks that I work with, the photographers that like are reaching out and asking the right questions. I feed them the information, and that's where they can go. So if this is something that resonates with you, invitation is yours. Again, if I go to this screen, proimageacademy.com/school, join us. There's, I don't know, 15 folks or whatever, and I say no paywall until we probably get like 100 folks in there, just so we can get the momentum and enough people into the group. So that was your invite. Today I wanted to focus on one thing only, which are reviews. I always have a slide deck for you, and part of what we're talking about, I already mentioned reviews. And when I say reviews, it's not just like Google ratings. It's a mix of like Google ratings, reviews, 5 stars, testimonials, whether they are written, I don't know, somebody's maybe texting you like a positive feedback. So any place where clients say something positive about you, I kind of define that as a review, right? Something that you can share with other clients, because the reality is, if I now switch over to your slides, reality is that people buy from people. It's people don't buy from logos, people don't buy from nice websites, people buy from people. Like, we're always curious, like, who is the photographer? A lot of times, like, I tell folks that I work with, my students, I say there's got to be like an about section, and if you have a video there, that's even better. Video is it's a 10, I always say at least 10x, but it's more than that. So people buy from people. Clients trust other clients faster than they try you. That's why we always say word of mouth is super powerful, and it's because you can always say anything about yourself, right? But when it's other people bragging about you, like how great experience it is, and the more people can brag about you, then obviously, that's super, super powerful, because this is how word of mouth works. Clients trust other clients faster than they trust you. Reviews shorten the decision window, and stars create instant credibility. So this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. The next slide here, I'm probably going to move a little faster. And oh, by the way, if you didn't catch it last week, I am moving the sessions later in the day. Typically, I used to do them at like 12 p.m. Eastern. I'm moving them. I noticed that there's like slightly more engagement, so it looks like more guys, more of you guys are watching later on. So just an FYI, if you're catching this for the first time. But as far as the next thing here is reviews control fast decisions. And typically the way I work is like slides first, and then some color, additional context later. Star ratings, commodity purchases decided at a glance. Price reviews, the two input buyers need for a quick selection. So we're talking about quick buys, right? No deep research, buyers skip the details, ratings, do the work. How does that work? Pretty simple. You're on Amazon, you're on Google, you're looking for a place to eat, you're Googling a restaurant near you, right? And like, what's the first thing you do? You don't get onto a website, start reading about the owner. You essentially, it's like you look at the stars, you look at the ratings, things seem to, there's always like one that's standing out, or like two that are sort of, somewhere in the middle. And there's probably a good number with like no reviews. And like, we never tend to go for like, well, I'm curious, right? What would the one with worse reviews taste like, right? So that's why it's important to have them. With the commodity products, like lower products, let's say you're on Amazon, it's actually a psychological game. With something being priced under like less than $30, people just, it's an emotional buy, it's an instant buy. Nobody really thinks or does research about products that cost $24. Like, we see something, we like something, we buy something, right? So it's pretty simple. And that's why on Amazon, very often, if you're looking for a commodity thing, whatever, we like, my wife was buying a toaster on Amazon the other day. There's not much to it. She looked up a bunch of toasters, look at the ratings, look what bestseller or best buyer or best whatever label Amazon uses. She just picked one up. Like, they didn't really spend the whole day thinking about which one she should get. So, and maybe for some of you, toasters are a big deal, so you will do that. But majority of the people, obviously, you guys get the point. So the reviews at the very beginning for commodities, very important, but it's just like stars. Nobody really looks at like the written reviews or testimonials. But the game changes. So the reviews control expensive, decisions too. The higher the price, the deeper buyer reads. They study real experiences, not just star counts. And detailed testimonials remove detailed testimonials remove hesitation and close the gap between interest and commitment. So the thing here is that what we have to understand is you probably bought something that's maybe more expensive. Now we're getting into 150 to like $400 or $500 or $700. People will read reviews, right? So at this point, maybe we don't really have to talk about a person very often. People marketers say that like anything that's less than 1,000, people don't really like. They'll still look at reviews before they actually have like before they start talking to others, get a recommendation, or before they reach out to you. But the thing is, here in this category, they're going to look at reviews and they're going to look at actually at comments. And like very often, how this game works. Like if you see that there's like, let's say total reviews, there's like 100 reviews, right? And you will see that like there's like 4 with 1 star. We even tend to like ignore the higher stars, and we usually go for like, well, what's the worst case scenario, right? And then you go and you start reading about like the 1 stars and the 2 stars and the 3 stars. We don't really care if majority of the people like rated the thing high, because this is, I think, in hopes that we're going to find something that may be of like relevance or importance to us. And once you read it and it's like, okay, yeah, somebody didn't like it because it was maybe, I don't know, the button was in the wrong place. It's like, I don't really care as long as it's white, right? So that's how it works. Let me just dim the lights a little bit. That's how it works. And this is sort of like the next level. So even before we start talking to other people, like reviews, the stars plus the actual written content, the content and the context is very important for some people. So that's like level number 2. One thing to mention here is like one negative review carries extra weight. So I kind of started already poking at it, but it's psychological stickiness. Negative signals linger far longer in a buyer's mind than positive ones. Momentum, it's a momentum killer. One bad signal can overpower dozens of 5-star reviews. We just kind of talked about it. And protect intentionally. Your reputation requires kind of active management, not just responding to bad reviews. You almost should do anything to sort of prevent bad reviews. And sometimes you have to suck it up. I learned myself where I had a client, they were unhappy with the work, and even though I thought I was right, I always kind of at the beginning of the game, I always was trying to like push and convince and like sell on my idea, or like and to be honest, a lot of times I was right. But it's like it doesn't matter, because this dissatisfied client will then walk away and will become like a negative billboard, right? And let's talk about one thing that's really important. At the very beginning, I said psychological stickiness. This is where negative signals linger far longer in a buyer's mind, and this is something that you guys need to be aware of. This is actually human biology. We are actually biased more times than not. We will think of negative things faster than positive, and it's linked to our survival. So it's all like imagine back in the Stone Age days, somebody walks through the jungle. When you hear a sound in the bushes, like you should almost assume that it's more negative than positive, right? And it's just for your security, just for your protection. What if it's a tiger? Like if it's a little birdie, nobody cares, and that's why we don't tend to store that information. Anything negative, this is where it comes from. This is why we're more negative. This is why we're so good at picking up negative information, because it can harm us in some way. And it is what it is. And that's why I always try to sort of navigate around it. Sometimes even if you have to suck it up, you have a bad client, try to just cater and avoid the bad ones. If you have any signals of somebody not vibing with you, as my 13-year-old says, you should navigate around it and avoid the clients that are simply not a good match. It's not to say client is wrong. It's just their expectations of what they're going to get versus what you typically provide, if it's not a good match, don't just jump in. And I've learned the hard way. I've had it in 18 years. I brought it up in the interview with Marta Ponsko. She's a WPPI speaker. We had a chat yesterday, and we were discussing just that this point that it's like, if there's any flag, you should just drop it, because for me, for Marta, it was the same thing. She said she was dealing with a client where it was just repetitive. She actually, I don't know, corrected the work 3 times or whatever before it was not something she would typically do. But then lesson learned, and she said next time if client comes in and asking for something that's really not on her list of what she typically delivers, she just simply says no to the client, and she usually recommends somebody else that would be a better fit. And same for me. In 18 years of doing this, I probably had maybe 5 or 6 that were just not happy. And I knew it, and it was my fault because I thought, hey, I'm just going to plow through it. Paycheck is a paycheck. And every single time I regretted it. Regretted it not because the client it's my own fault, right? I always start with kind of looking in the mirror and blaming myself. So just a warning. Always try to avoid negative reviews, is what I'm saying. Next one here is stop negative reviews before they start. Kind of repetitive. I think I jumped into this slide, but it's like, stay proactive, communicate early, fix issues fast, always be open. Like, never sort of, I don't want to say the word hide is probably not appropriate, but like, always be open and transparent about what you do, how you do it. The more the client knows, the better the expectations from the client, the better off the relationship later on, right? So there's no surprises. Most bad reviews are written after a client feels ignored. So a lot of times sometimes we're not sure what to say, but it's like something on their mind, right? And maybe it's something they're prioritizing, and we simply, I don't know, it could be just because maybe we're busy, right? And we don't want to respond, or we want to respond the next day. And like, imagine if it's something important to you, a client reaches out with a question and then they don't get a response within 24, 48 hours. Like, try to stay on top of it. Even if you respond with something simple, just because there's like we're looking for this immediate feedback, right, from the person that we're buying from. So, when they feel ignored, they will feel, it'll be worse. Stay ahead of friction, solve problems before they become public. They always try to work with somebody, try to work it out. I mean, other folks will also understand. And to be honest, they may still walk away, maybe not 100% satisfied, but at least you're going to avoid any bad reviews or, anything that can stay online forever. Check in proactively during the delivery. I always say, even with and this process could be totally automated, by the way. It's not like you have to be active and respond to every client. Like, you can just set up an email campaign that drips, every couple of weeks or whatever to a client, and that totally absolutely takes care of the problem. And this is I had one of the students, Josh, reached out because we were setting up like a dripping campaign where it would just reach out with the right things, the right questions, the right materials, and clients would always be super happy because it kind of shows that like you care, because nobody really cares if it's automated as long as they're being informed about like next step and what to expect. Acknowledge concerns immediately. Like I said, be reactive and fix issues before the project closes. Remember, you're trying to turn this client into recurring revenue, like another sale. So and do I want to jump forward? Well, I want to wait because there's probably a slide that talks about like what do we do in the end when we're asking for reviews. So let's just stick around a little longer. Asking for reviews is part of the workflow. So don't hope, right? A lot of people just kind of like sit and wait and, and they don't know like when is the right time. a lot of times I can even sometimes be with a client on the phone. They say something, let's say I deliver images, and I have client on Zoom call or something, and I may say, hey, is it cool if I like recorded this? Because very often clients are happy, like, I want to share either like your reaction, guys, or something. Like, is that totally cool? I wouldn't publish anything without your permission, but in my contract it says that anything recorded is can be used for my marketing efforts. So like make sure you're covered. But I always ask anyway for permission. It's always safer to do that. And sometimes even when I'm on calls, even when I get a DM that where they're kind of like saying how happy they are with the product, could be an email, could be a DM. It doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be just Google reviews. It could be any sort of positive reaction from the client that's documented. It could be a video, it could be a reel, it could be email, it could be a DM. So see if you can build it into your workflow. And reviews belong inside your delivery process, not as an afterthought. So it could be actually, you can, even if you're doing, like, let's say you're doing a wedding and you have done an engagement, you don't have to wait all the way through the wedding past the delivery to ask for a review. You can just say, hey, maybe they were super happy with like engagement photos. Make sure you capture that. So it's still totally valid response, totally valid reason to ask. Guide your clients. Clients rarely write reviews unless prompted at the right moment. What is the right moment is when you have to be intentional about it. It's usually when you either just work with them or delivered something. They're super pumped, they're super excited. This is when you ask. You don't wait until the last minute. And especially like a lot of us ask like a month after. Oh, guys, do you mind writing a review? Like, they are all like deflated. The emotions are down. It's always best to ask at the right time. So that's very important. I cover this when like in the school community, we'll be kind of laying it out, the exact kind of format and protocols. And make it a habit. Consistent asking creates a consistent stream of social proof. Just keep asking for DMs. You can even prompt it with a question or whatever. Like, how were you satisfied with this? Or what do you guys think of the whatever location? What do you think of that photo? If they have a favorite photo, you can ask about that. So like, sky's the limit in terms of, how you ask or when you ask. And then we have make reviews easy to leave. So I always say, if you remove sort of the barrier, the friction, like the harder it is for the client to like leave you a review, the chances are you're not going to get one, right? But if you make it easier for them, if you send them, and I list a couple things here. What does the window says? Make reviews easy to leave. So this one is effort kills follow through. Remove every barrier between your client and the 5-star review. And I say the examples here that I use is like, send them a direct link to where it is. Don't just send them the email like, can you guys give me a review, right? Send them a direct link, so when they click the link, it lands on the review page, preferably with the box open where they can just type it in. You can provide an example. You can just grab, because sometimes clients are like, okay, but like, what do I write? Provide examples. You can, especially now with like AI tools, you can provide like 5 different or 10 different examples. Just say, hey, this is last, like, just so you guys know, like, I'm not asking for a lot, just a couple sentences, just to like show others that you were pretty happy with what I delivered. And you can provide examples, and you can say, you know what, you can just copy, change a couple words, and like, no big deal. It's so much easier for the clients to like do that, right? Show clients what great review looks like, and then simple instructions, clear guidance dramatically increases response rate. So make sure you do that. You can even, these days, you can say, you can provide them with a prompt for like ChatGPT, because the only thing that matters is like that it came from them, from their account, and it's something that you can later on link to an actual person and say, don't generate fake reviews. Always to like make sure that it's an actual person, because if somebody sees it and it's like, was this your actual client? Like, sometimes I've been checked before where client checked with another client and it's like, oh, okay, it's legit, right? So that's really important to remember. And then video testimonials beat written reviews, and people like video less than they whatever text. But it builds authority fast. Video establishes expertise at a glance. Faces create trust. Seeing a real person removes skepticism instantly. It's not something that, like, I just mentioned, like, don't generate reviews. You can generate anything these days, but the thing is, even with video, to be honest, but the thing is, when we see, we can tell, right? Like, we can tell if it's a genuine video. So I always ask, and even with like my clients, like when I was asking for reviews, I always would say, listen, it doesn't have to be, it's not a big deal. It's not something you have to prepare. And it's much harder for people to like prepare something. So that's why very often I would, like, if I had them on a call or, part of whatever, I'm like, does this make sense? Are you just excited? And like, I would capture that excitement because another client would then sort of resonate with the situation. So like if it was a delivery of photos and I would like film the delivery of photos, literally like unpacking and like the excitement and they're happy, another client would see it and it would be an automatic sale because they're like, holy crap. I mean, if there's like 6 other clients unpacking and happy, like chances are we're also going to be happy. So it's very important. And like I said, it wasn't one of those reviews where like, oh, well, get on camera and say something, right? To sort of, I mean, that's always the best, but it's really the reaction of somebody when they interact with your product or with you. It could be even a session. Like if you can grab somebody to, like, when you're working with a client and you take a couple snapshots and you show them the back of the camera and they show excitement, that's your review. Like that's somebody interacting with your product. And then voice removes doubt. Tone and emotion are impossible to fake. I've covered that already. And also another thing that's like super super helpful. I always I've learned this from one of my coaches. He says that selfies plus direct recommendations multiply trust. And here I would say ask for a photo together right after the session, then ask them to recommend you in the moment while the feeling is fresh. Very often, even at weddings, at engagements, whenever I would interact with clients, even sometimes when I would meet with them, I would literally pull out my phone, take a selfie with like, I don't know, consultation or something, or being at the wedding. And I would share that because that's better than just showing their wedding pictures. It's showing you there as an expert, as an authority to that you're working, you've been there. This is not somebody else's wedding. You are not second shooting. Like, it's super, super important. And this was a game changer for me because it was like, hey, we had a picture on my phone. Sometimes they would be like, oh, is it cool if I do it on my phone? Like, yeah, sure. And I would say, hey, when you make a recommendation to your bridesmaid, to your friend, to another family, can you just take that photo and like send it to them? And I gotta tell you, it's gonna do magic for you, for your business, because it's a picture of you and them together, usually smiling, and with the person, like, imagine the person that they are recommending the service to, like it crushes all the barriers in terms of like reaching back to you, right? Like, think about reaching out to somebody that you've never met and you don't know. This is your friend with you on the same message. Like, it's the barrier of entry is so low, that I definitely recommend this method. Peer-to-peer sharing converts faster than any paid ad you'll ever run, because then automatically the client becomes, from a cold client, they become automatically at least like a warm client, if not a hot client. So that's super super important. And then turn reviews into repeat revenue. So I always say, give them an incentive. Maybe they're hesitant, maybe they don't want to do it, they're dragging their feet, and it's like, think about it this way, reward strong reviews, offer future credit, $100 album, or session upgrade as a thank you, right? You can say, hey, next time you get a 25% whatever discount on albums or products, or when you book the next session with us, you're going to get $100 off. Now they're in the game of like, whoa, this is worth actual money. Everybody likes money, and folks usually take it and turn it into a review. And then they come back. And so now your lifetime value of the customer goes up because it's a returning client, right? So it's everybody wins because you make more they get a discount, and they recommended a friend. They feel good about recommending a friend, but they also feel good about getting a discount. And the person that in the end, that's being recommended, it always appreciates it, because it's like a referral, word of mouth thing. It's like, oh, good, friend cares about me, and so everybody's happy in that game. Create a loop. The review becomes the reason for the next booking, which I already said, and builds loyalty. Clients who review become clients who return and refer, because then it's just, it's a mental game. Like your name then sticks with them longer than normally. So reviews, testimonials, anything positive about you, whether it's in Facebook DM, whether it's in your text message, whether it's from like a recording that you can then transcribe, whether it's from a recording with a client, Zoom recorded session when you're sitting with them, working with them, it all goes into the same bucket. So make sure you guys do it. Super, super, super important. And then automating this process, I gotta tell you, you'll make more money. That's a promise. Once again, I'll mention just quickly, if you missed it at the very beginning, I am providing both QR code and the link for the school, Community Pro Image Academy.com/school. This is exactly where we're going with school, with the community. There's going to be 3 levels depending on where you are. And by the way, if you don't know where you are, there's another solution, proimageacademy.com/start. This is an online assessment. You can just hop in there, be ready, because it's like, I don't know, maybe 25 questions, but it will actually score your business and give you your personal business score. So you'll know exactly kind of like, if you're starting or if you're somewhere in the middle, want to scale, this will tell you, like, here's your number one area where you should be focusing on, because you're scoring the lowest on that area. So and then you'll know, do you have a content issue? Do you have branding issue? Do you have automation? Do you have AI issue? Are you on the wrong platform for your website? That's a lot of cases that I get, people reaching out, because websites they should be already automated. They should be growth tools, but still so many people on just regular websites that generate no additional traffic. They don't, like, your website should be taking care of your leads as they come in. If somebody comes into your website and they need to browse and there's nothing prompting them to, like, please leave your name or reach out, like, you just lost the lead. And especially if you're running ads, or if you do whatever, if you have an old website, you basically have like an old digital brochure with your photos that you feel good about, but it's not good for your business. Exactly another reason to take the assessment or join the school community, because this is exactly what we're addressing, fixing it, and then taking you from $1,000 to more than $1,000. So that was I think that was it for today. I'll see you guys. What happened here? Why did I disappear? All right, I'm back. So I think we're good to there. I'll see you guys next week on Thursday. Again, probably later in the day. I'm trying now for about like 2-3 p.m. So that is that. Do I have a topic? I don't have a topic. But if you have a question, leave it in the comments. If you scan the QR code, there's actually a way to DM me on Facebook. So if you have anything, just leave me a message, DM me, and I'll respond back as soon as possible. All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.